Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the URC semi-finals. This first one between Leinster and the Glasgow Warriors. These two sides meeting twice throughout this year, and both times going the way of a Leinster, but it is a new challenge. The quarterfinals have just passed. As you can see there, Glasgow getting themselves a good win over the Stormers, 36 points to 18, whereas Leinster had maybe a little bit more of a challenge with Scarlets than first anticipated, but still winning it 33 points to 21. Some pretty close games overall throughout the weekend. Whoever wins this game, of course, will face the winner of the South African Derby. Looking through at Leinster's starting lineup, it is Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan and Thomas Clarkson as the front row. Joe McCarthy alongside James Ryan in the locking duo with Ryan Beard, Scott Penny and Jack Conan slotting in. As the number 8, Jamison Gibson Park partners with Sam Prendergast. It's under a little bit of pressure at the moment in that 10 jersey. He's had quite a bit of criticism throughout the last few weeks, so we'd love nothing more than to be able to really step up throughout this matchup. Geordie Barrett in the midfield alongside Jamie Osborne, James Lowe, I should say. Timmy O'Brien out on the other wing, Tommy, in fact, with an O, and Jimmy O'Brien as the number 15 for the Glasgow Warriors. Their backline is absolutely stacked for this game. George Horn alongside Adam Hastings as the 9-10 combination. Tom Jordan moves to 12 with Sione Tuipulotu on the outside at 13. Kyle Rowe, Kyle Stain and Josh Mackay as the number 15. In the front row, Jamie Barty, Hiddleston and Richardson will make up the front three. Samuel and Cummings in the locking duo with Ferry, Rory Darge and Henko Fenta in the number 8 jersey. So those are the starting lineups. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got Leinster supporters in the chat by the looks of it, but also some going for Glasgow too. Looking forward to this clash from the Eastern Cape of South Africa. Says Andre there, and let's go Glasgow from a Bulls supporter. So, I guess the question has to be asked, LFG. Why is it that you want Glasgow to win? I assume that is so that you can have a home final if the Bulls were able to get themselves the victory. Of course, Glasgow versus the Bulls, actually the final that we saw last year. And in that contest, it was Glasgow did get themselves the win. Quickly looking through at the benches for this match before we jump into a few of the other stats about these two sides from throughout the season. Leinster, they have got Ronan Kelleher, Boyle and Slimani as the number 18. Arge Snyman, of course, in that number 19 jersey, offers a lot when it comes to the offloading game. Can really cut a defence open and loves to keep that ball alive throughout the 80 minutes. Deegan, McGrath, Byrne and Frawley as the number 23. For Glasgow, they have got Johnny Matthews, who has been at times a try-scoring machine, whether he's starting or off the reserves bench, but lately maybe been a little bit more quiet than you would expect for Matthews. Sutherland is there at its number 17, and Talakai in the number 18 jersey. Williamson and Mann, the other two forwards, with Duncan, McDowell and Dobie as the number 23. So the big change in the backline really is in that number 10 jersey. Rather than Tom Jordan being at 10, they have moved him into the midfield combo with Stafford McDowell losing his starting spot at 12. Sione Tuipulotu also having a bit of a switch. So I'll be honest, it concerns me just a little bit, the fact that they've decided to make so many changes, only because sometimes it takes that little bit of extra time to gel, and up against a side like Leinster, when they are on form, they may be taking that little bit of an adjustment period as just too much time to be able to afford. Up the Blues, Rico and Finlay to score a try next week. Sears a rugby itch there, of course, will be a very happy man after seeing them advance through to the semi-finals facing the Crusaders in that matchup. And so that Bulls can potentially host the finals. Says LFG was waiting for the Bulls versus Sharks game, wondering what to do until this stream popped up. Thank you as always, Hamish. Says Robert, yeah, I was never going to not be doing this semi-final as well. I feel like, of course, there is that South African Derby around the corner, which has a lot of people's attention, but we've got to find out who they're playing. In this game, if you love the URC and you also love, I guess, what these two sides have been able to do throughout the last couple of years, this is either on par or maybe even, some would say, better than what we will see for that South African Derby. In terms of the way that these two sides have played throughout the season, we've pretty much got top four all playing each other though, so we are spoiled for choice. We have got there, should be an awesome game, says Robert, and we have got there, South Africa say Glasgow will take this one easy, says Albert. Glasgow is basically a South African team, says Albert there. Unlike yourself, Albert, to try and claim another team as your own, but I mean, they have won the URC, so why wouldn't you want them? And do you think the Bulls would get over the line again? That's going to be tricky because the thing is, like, of course we can talk about that game all the time when it's taken place, but the recent record, the Sharks have had the Bulls' number over the last few weeks or last few matches that they've actually played. So, yeah, it's intriguing. See what happens in that regard. We have got there, Glasgow will bum rush Leinster in the opening minutes, says Robert, and should be an awesome game. Yeah, I'm really hoping it's going to be just a back and forth type of contest with these two sides going berserk. Is pretty much the hope that it is going to be an outstanding fixture and just add so much excitement to what should already be a pretty entertaining type of semi-final. That was a really long way of saying I hope it's a close game. Leinster will win 28 points to 14. The South African coach is the best in the world. Glasgow is coached by another great South African coach, says Farid. And Sharks is the weirdest team. They only play from 75 minutes. And the Bulls, they don't play for the last 10 if we're looking at the season so far. So that could mean the last 10 minutes is going to be absolutely insane for those two. Glasgow's are spoilers. They'll take it, says David. Well, at the end of the day, like, they are a side that some people, even after last season, still underestimate. Look at this right here. This is what they did last year. They went into their quarterfinal and they beat the Stormers. They did the exact same thing last week. In their semi-final, away from home, they beat an Irish side. Now, of course, that was Munster. This year, they're going up against Leinster, which some would say could be slightly more of a challenge based off current form. But we also have to remember, Munster have won the URC before. And so Glasgow getting the away win was pretty awesome for them. And then they managed to go to South Africa, which they will have to do again, no matter who they play, if they do win this game. And they were able to get themselves that big win, which some felt like they could not do. Which is why, you know, if Glasgow are playing well, they can beat any side in this URC competition. But a side that they have not beaten this year so far is a side known as Leinster. These are the two results. As you can see, they did play actually very recently, only a few weeks ago, that they did go head-to-head for their round of the URC, 13 points to 5 in favour of Leinster. Quarter-final of the Champions Cup, that's one that I'm sure Glasgow supporters would rather I don't bring up, but yeah, it happened, 52-0, but of course, Bordeaux managing to win themselves the Champions Cup. So it just shows, you know, Leinster, for as strong as they have been, even throughout this URC season, people have talked about these playoffs as being the do or die for this Leinster side. They want to fill that trophy cabinet, and they have been so good for so long, but it's the final hurdle or the last hurdle before that. It has been the struggle. This is what happened for Leinster in those same games that I mentioned. They were able to win their quarterfinal up against Ulster, but in the semi-final, beaten by the Bulls, had to go to South Africa, which was a little bit of a difference compared to what we've seen this year. Leinster come in as top qualifier and can remain at home for next week as well if they win, but they have to beat this side first. We have got their Glasgow spoilers, and also we have got their Leinster go win the match from a Stormers supporter. And good evening, Hamish. I have my girl, Mary Jane, and a bottle of Venezuelan rum ready for tonight, says Christopher. So it sounds like you've got a big night ahead. And speaking of Super Rugby, I thought Lalicio would kick it away after the Brumbies won. That last winning turnover gave me a mini heart attack, says Xavier Brown. There was half a moment, wasn't there, where he shaked as if he was going to give it a boot. But nah, massive win for the Brumbies, heading now to face the Chiefs at FMG. We have got there, hey Hamish, still looking for a suitor for my daughter. She's 20, blonde, studies engineering, never been kissed, says KV. Is that like an offer for me to send in my CV, KV, or are you're hoping that there's some eligible bachelors in the chat around the place? And Hamish, it'll be nice if Glasgow win, hey. It would be once again a big upset. And I know that Leinster come across at times, or at least in the streams that we have done, as for some reason the enemy of a lot of teams. And I think that is just because they have been so good for so long, the fact that they win week in, week out, and, you know, people want to beat the best. Yes, you passed the test, rugby man, says KV in there, and hoping for a Glasgow win, says JP. And we have got there, hi Hamish and everyone, let's go Glasgow, says Lilia B there. Studying engineering is much higher than my qualifications though, KV. I will say that. What's the crown next to my name? Cheers, no idea. I think it's It's down to the new YouTube update that came out a few weeks ago. Pretty much you get extra XP, I think they call it, when you do comment on videos or on the live stream, I should say. So it's very confusing, to be honest. I have no idea how it works. It might take an engineer to be able to let us know. It doesn't take much for you to blush. Honestly, I think I was a chameleon in my past life. Like, my face changes colour very fast. I was at a quiz night helping out my nana the other night, which is a bit of a weird, like, well, it's a small town thing. I helped with a quiz night to run it so that they could earn money for a fundraiser. And, like, one of her elderly friends, she said that she hadn't seen me in a long time and that I had turned into quite a nice-looking young man. And my face went about as red can be. And it was cold in the building, so it wasn't the heat, unfortunately. But yeah, I just changed my colour of my face very often from white to back to red, and then it slowly goes back. Free daughters in YouTube. Damn the life of a streamer, says Christopher. And Franco even taught Glasgow players some basic Afrikaans, says Albert. And we have got there, it doesn't matter, you're a good man. Well, I appreciate that. KV, quiz night with grandma, nice boy, says Albert. They got me a fruit basket, or like a fruit package for helping out. And yeah, it was very sweet of them. Thanks for making the Sharks game extra exciting, although I saw some other commentators or commenters also, I didn't quite understand it was 6 kicks. Says cool story. It threw me off. And the thing is, we've done a Munster kickoff before, but for some reason, it just didn't sink in, the fact that because they had missed the kick, I thought, oh no, it's all over. But yeah, the extra kicks and still the victory going the way of the Sharks. We have got there, Rugby Itch also had a minor cardiac earlier tonight, which says, Doc, yeah, he would have been very nervous in those final moments between the Blues and the Chiefs. Leinster to give the Haggis Eaters a big fat 0, says Frank. And I say Bulls versus... Well, you've left us on a cliffhanger there for Gerhard, unless it was Bulls versus Sharks, but I assume you are saying who you think will be in the final with them. And howdy, Hamish and people, taking Leinster. I hope in Glasgow, says Studs Rays. Yeah, it would be great to see a little bit more competitiveness from Glasgow compared to that Champions Cup quarterfinal. Now, to their credit, they were a lot stronger in the rematch between these two sides, 13 points to 5. In favour of Leinster. At this point, South African has a team in the final guaranteed, says Albert. And come on the boys in blue, says Richard. I'm hoping for a rematch final, a Bulls Glasgow at altitude, but so I say 32-29 to Glasgow. So your All Blacks supporters eat kiwi fruit. I actually, it's crazy that you mentioned about the kiwi fruit. In that fruit basket that my nana and her organisation gifted me, there were 2 types of kiwi fruit. There was the green one and there was a gold one. And the gold one was actually quite nice. The green one is a bit hit and miss in terms of how sour it is. I don't think during the intro of this one we'd be talking about kiwi fruit, I'll be honest. But yeah, if you haven't had yourself a golden kiwi fruit, give it a go. You never know. Ouch, Leinster crowd not turning out either. I think that, like, overall, attendance numbers for playoff games have actually been very low this year. And I don't want to say that it's any competition in particular, because it actually isn't. But, yeah, something about just this year, even in, like, regular season, since Christmas, it seems like numbers have actually been a little bit lower. Both games today are tough, they are. And hopefully they're both close. That would be the ideal scenario. But the Glasgow Warriors about to make their way out of the tunnel. Kyle Steyn, the man leading the charge. Having 2 teams wearing blue in the final is problematic, says Robert Wood. So by that logic, you're saying that the Sharks have to win so that we can have a little bit of a mix. But then saying that Glasgow and the Sharks, their kits are very similar too. And Golden Kiwi, never heard of it. Shall Google it, thanks, says Xander. Yeah, it's a lot more of a subtle kind of sourness, but it's quite sweet, or at least the one I had was. I almost quit his live streams Blues Lake game, or came back. It was extremely a thriller with rugby itch action, says Doc. And the red kiwi fruit. The red kiwi fruit. The red one? I didn't even know there was a red one, Stefan. I didn't even know, well, I knew of the gold one, but I didn't know what a gold one tasted like. Andrea Piardi, the referee in charge of this one. That man is a referee. It's always interesting. He loves being out there. And hopefully he has a really good game, or else people are going to be really mean to him like they normally are. I've had that in Taiwan. It's not bad. They also have yellow watermelon here. Well, there we go. And we have got there high all a bit of good advice for Glasgow. Do not wink, says Neil. But it's kicked off by the Leinster side, and we are underway for the semi-final of the URC. Henko Fenta with the first touch, and it's already a penalty. We're 5 seconds into the game. I don't know what the Glasgow Warriors did. Finlay Richardson, I think, might have come in through the side, but Henko Fenta took it to ground. Oh no, it's just a not releasing penalty. I thought that they were trying to penalise the number 3, but no, getting over the ball straight away was Tommy O'Brien. And Leinster, we will mention it, they could have taken the 3, but they've kicked for the corner. What's the odds between these two teams? I'm glad you have asked, Sander, because that reminds me I had a pop-up. I thought. Somewhere. No, maybe I don't. But Glasgow do come in as quite big underdogs heading into this match. With Leinster at home, it does, of course, make it quite challenging. Now the rolling maul starting up for Leinster here. While I am looking for this one. I put it somewhere. There it is. But now, it's in the hands of Tommy O'Brien at the moment. There you go. So Glasgow coming as $5.20 underdogs compared to Leinster, who were $1.14. Being told to get out of there. The Glasgow Warriors, number 8, Henko Fenta, currently 10 metres out from the line here for Leinster. Under penalty advantage just for now, but of course when they are inside of the opposition 22, they can be so dangerous. That was a huge shot coming in on Jack Conan. Of course, Leinster are also having many members in that British and Irish Lions squad that will be leaving soon. So the best case scenario is they get out of this game injury-free. Almost through was Jimmy O'Brien. Now back across to the left-hand side, Dan Sheehan. In the starting lineup rather than off the bench like he was last week. Gibson Park goes straight to Scott Penny. Oh, they do go away to the right-hand side. Tommy O'Brien again will just throw himself at the opposition. Fun fact, kiwi fruit aren't originally from New Zealand but came from China, and they were known as a Chinese gooseberry. Fun fact. But now sitting 5 metres out from the line. Oh, Gibson Park, that's a big old dive that he's done there, but he's managed to milk the advantage. He did the hands up in the air as well as the big flail. And now 3 metres out from the line here. Leinster still are on attack. Skip past to Sheehan, and the first try is on the board. Hopefully, this isn't a repeat of that quarter-final. The first 10 minutes are critical, and that is not the start that Glasgow would have been after a dream. I had a dream. Me and my cousin got 2 Sharks ticket for just 360 Rand. Then I decided not to show a bunch of WWE wrestlers my Dreamcast. That is quite the dream. To be fair, though, that's how dreams work, don't they? You think you're having a normal dream, and then it goes off in a random direction. Now, lining up this kick here, Sam Prendergast, he will be hoping that this one doesn't go off in a random direction off his boot. I listen to you from Clarence, says Michael, and it is greatly appreciated you being here once again. Hamish, you're looking smooth and creamy there. What does that mean? I get this, I guess smooth I understand, but creamy? Like, now, 2 points added, 7-0. See, I told you I was a chameleon. I've changed colour again. As much as I want the Bulls to win, think Sharks will. Like the Bok, they don't know how to win. Both watching both semis today. Good luck to all teams. And ouch, try. In there as well. And come on, Leinster, says Doc. And now clearing kick from Leinster from inside of their 22. Come on, Glasgow, reset, says Studs Rays. I need to go charge my phone battery. Okay, so we're just moving on from that. We have got there, let us know when you finish reading Alice in Wonderland. Well, I haven't started yet, was I supposed to? Throw in, now nicely taken, Gregor Hiddleston looping around. Oh, Glasgow, bit of a handling error earlier. It's very nice dry conditions, though, I do have to say, for this matchup. A nice afternoon fixture. Cream like ice cream. says Ruth. Well, thank you, I guess. And come on, Glasgow. Red Kiwi is the colour of New Zealander's face changed the first time a South African girl offer him brandy at a braai. Says Xander, now backline movement here for Glasgow. There was a flat pass out to Kyle Rowe. Goes for the kicker behind. Has George Horn on the inside, who will score the try. So Glasgow immediately getting back into the semi-final. They needed a try and they got it probably a lot quicker than some anticipated. In competition and according both teams, may the best team win, says Irve. I think that means Ruth wants to lick you. Damn the life of the streamer, says Christopher. It's not like this in real life, I can tell you that right now. Too much, says Farid. And Bruce, I'm on a high today, says Lilia B. And great response, says Robert B. Yeah, exactly what they needed. Great kick in behind from Kyle Rowe, though. And George Horn, without shooting myself in the foot, I do think this statement is fair. George Horn, for me, is one of the best support runners, probably out of, I'd say he's top 5 halfback support runners, if not top 5 players in general, in terms of his support runs. The amount of assists that he could get, or the amount of passes that he gets to be able to get himself over the try line, it is quite impressive for Glasgow. Maybe that's just the way that Glasgow play, but, he just seems to always be there. When they need an inside ball or a kick goes downfield, he's just ready for it. And, great response. I'm backing Glasgow Warriors for a South African final, says Juan Pierre Bosch. Nicely taken by Glasgow now inside of their 22. Last time that they took a kickoff, they gave away a penalty about 3 seconds later. Villy LaRue must be number 1. He's definitely right up there after the way that he played in that Bulls versus Edinburgh match. The man was on fire. Did Glasgow scoreboard? They certainly did. 7 points to 5 at the moment now after 7 minutes. Kick downfield, George Horn. Now nicely taken at the back for Jimmy O'Brien. Tackled 40 metres out from Glasgow's line. And we have got there, been playing since 15. I think that was GTA, wasn't it? I do play a little bit of GTA, but probably not for the same reason as some people play it. We just normally just kind of drive round and do absolutely nothing. But now that's going to be the penalty going the way of the Glasgow Warriors. It's a good low tackle made by Geordie Barrett, but the offload out the back door from George Horn. Oh no, sorry, the foot was in touch rather than the penalty, so it is going to be the line out now for Leinster. Very cold at Clarence, says Michael. Yeah, the only weather reports I've been having here lately have been pretty much telling me it's going to snow. Mum meow, says Aiden. Well, there you go. Very toxic game, says Doc, as in GTA. It can be, but you can also it depends on what you do with it. I think, you can find some relatively calm things to do. Give some park ball off. Geordie Barrett finds Sheehan. Only Leinster sitting about 35 metres out from the line, but Joe McCarthy gets bulldozed forward by his teammate Slimani. So 2 tries within 5 minutes, going to be a cracker of a game, says Xander. Yeah, if this 5 minutes or 10 that has almost passed as anything to go by, we're going to get quite a back and forth kind of game, or at least I hope it's that way. The last time that these two sides played, it was 12 points to 5. We've already almost got that and we're only 10 minutes in. 2 South African coaches in charge today, says Farid. You love the South Africans, don't you, Farid? I don't think I've seen a comment from you in the last, probably 6 months that has involved anything other than mentioning something about South Africa. So it's very impressive. I feel like we've got to find something to ask Farid that doesn't have anything to do with South Africa to see if he can somehow put it in there. I was going to say mangoes, but they do have mangoes in South Africa. What game are you excited for? All of them, if that's the answer that is allowed. This one, in a different way than the Sharks versus Bulls game. These two sides, I do think, stylistically, just is so awesome to see. Whereas that Sharks versus Bulls game is just going to be pure physicality and probably about 10 guys getting injured. I don't see a neighbour at the game. Is he there via Zoom? Says Cited. I'm not actually too sure if I'm being honest. I haven't seen the coach's box as of yet. We have got there Leroux's the Beast, or the Beast. He's Captain Bull. And come on, Leinster. And I do see that the Bulls have got Johan Goosen back now, which is going to be a massive inclusion to their side. Tony and whoever wins, South African wins, says Fareed. Now, there's going to be the scrum feed here for Leinster, just inside of their 22 after the handling error came from Glasgow. They interviewed Cullen for Leinster. I think they normally interview Cullen though, don't they? Now ready to feed this ball in. And the big push coming from Leinster. No penalty advantage though. Gibson Park decides to go off to this left-hand side. Finds James Lowe, who of course has a monster left boot. Does kick it into touch. Gets it down towards the halfway line. And we have got there Fareed as a South African flag burned into his skin with a branding iron, says Christopher DeVette. Look, South Africa has been so long in the world's eye. The only thing working is our alpha male rugby. I let the lad off gloating for South Africa. Says one Pierre Bosch. And where is Ruth today? I assume... Wait, no, she was here earlier on. She called me creamy and then she left. Oh no, she's just there. Finally, I brought some Argentina pepper steak. Crisp to have on my burger. Sorry, I did a really long pause, but I saw the emoji, so I thought that was the end of it. But pepper steak crisp would be an interesting combo. Only first day crowd in stadium. Thought they'd fill up the place. I actually did too, but like I said, ever since Christmas, it seems like there's been a lot of stadiums that are a lot lower in attendance. The penalty will go the way of the Warriors after Jack Conan does end up making the mistake. Adam Hastings, number 10 for this game. Hasn't actually had a huge amount of time in that 10 jersey recently, but seeing quite a few 10s returning in this round of the URC. Of course, just the 2 games taking place. The Bulls versus the Sharks. That one's going to be kicking off in about 2 hours, 15 minutes. We will be covering that one with quite a nice build-up of around 20, 25 minutes. And we'll have about a 5-minute break in between this one and the next stream. New Zealand say they want South Africa back in Super Rugby after just one season. Is it not better that South Africa stay at the URC? Depends on who you talk to. Some people very much so miss the South African sides. That's a terrible error there from Leinster, but a knock-on from Cummings will relieve a little bit of the pressure. But then some are firmly against it and saying that they should stay in the URC. And honestly, like, that's the thing. The URC has brought a new challenge for South African sides. And I mentioned it, South Africa. Now you sounded like Sir JK, says Robert. No, he's allowed to mention it. I just wondered if he had anything else that he could say other than just South Africa. And it's Neyman waiting for the second half. Yeah, he will be making his way off the bench. Hamish, if he was a 4 times world champion, you would be like me too, says Fareed. And we have got this Neyman waiting. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Thoughts on Jordan at 12 and Tuipulotu at 13. It's a bit of a concern, I think, for Glasgow, just reshuffling at this stage. But, I mean, Adam Hastings, he hasn't looked too bad throughout the early stages, which is a promising sign. That's a nice backline there, but it was a little bit of accidental obstruction there from Alex Samuel. It means that Leinster do get themselves another penalty. Hamish, I can't get out of my hamster's cage, so I appreciate your show. How big's your hamster's cage? I have so many questions. Cool story. Financially, South Africa will stay in the URC, says Albert. And if Glasgow wins this game, the large changes for the semi-final game will be a masterstroke come finals. And some feeling nostalgic with Super Rugby. I think that time has passed. We did it. And now we're on to something else, says Cited. Yeah, like there is still talks of other South African teams, not the URC sides, maybe one day ending up in Super Rugby. I think that the geographic problem of it is the one that's holding it back a little bit more. We have got there, I'm going to Durban Kings Park to cheer Bulls, but I stay in Durban, says Fareed. Okay, so you're Bulls supporter, but in Durban. Oh, so you've kind of got, I guess you could say, like, worst comes to worst, either way you've got a side in the final, don't you? Like, in terms of either your region where you live or the side that you support. Oh, little bit of afters there from James Lowe. Did a big push, knocked the Glasgow Warriors player over. He has to be careful doing that. I think Kyle Stein just saying, listen, mate, settle down, eh? And Handbag says, Salad, it's on. Yeah, there's a little bit of tension out there. Watching this on here in the Rugby League Challenge Cup on TV, so much rugby. Says, Geza, right, Piatri's got a bit of a decision to make here. Okay. Okay. So pretty much Leinster have been penalised for something that Glasgow were penalised earlier on for. But, yeah. I think that James Lowe felt like he didn't give away that penalty. Glasgow rolling more is a powerful tool for them. Travelling east 14 now is so much worse than travelling west. Travelling north, much easier. Says Albert. Where's the time display on the scoreboard, Brew? It is the one that says 16 with the little updating ticker next to it. See, it's just gone to 17. So that's how many minutes through on the first half too. And red card ref, teach Lowe some manners, says Powerbite. Now Glasgow using this one quickly. Low tackle made by Scott Benny. Come on, Glasgow, says Justin. We've got Shavama said, you made Chiefs lose, but even your curse can't make Leinster lose, says Shavam. Once again, I think it's your curse, not mine. Every time you pop in, the underdog wins, and maybe could be the case here as well. That one's close to the sideline. Gives him Park. I think he was tackled off the ball. Yes, he was. They will go back for another penalty. And Lowe got that as wrong as he could. It's worse when a player argues a law that they think that they know, and then they're just, yeah, he unfortunately did get it completely wrong, James Lowe. Just like George Horn did there when he tried to tackle Gizem Park without the ball. Who's the underdog in this game? Glasgow by far. About $5.20 underdogs in this matchup. And put your kidneys on Leinster and Yo Roof. Says, cool story. Kicking this one towards the sideline. Speaking of Blues, 2 Cents Rugby had to be peeled off the ceiling. Well, that's the thing. Like, all throughout this week, we've heard pretty much nothing but people saying that the Blues are going to get beaten badly. But they didn't. They won. And they managed to make it through to face now the Crusaders, which I think is going to be an outstanding semi-final. Just got back from refereeing my club rugby in 100% rain. Now time to shower and watch Glasgow beat Leinster to allow the Bulls for a URC 2025 win next week, says Reynaldo. Although, last time the two sides met in a final, that being Glasgow and the Bulls, we did see Glasgow win. Of course, the Bulls would love nothing more than to get that redemption. I think Glasgow can win it again. This ref hates the Irish players, always biased, says Frank. If it makes you feel any better, which I don't think it will, but I haven't worked out who this referee actually likes. Like, from all of his games, you never know what he's going to come up with. And then, like, trying to be as nice as we can and not rip into him too much. But some of the calls that he's made throughout recent times has been, like, you just scratch your head. I finally figured out that Hamish is a Blues fan. I am not, no. Like, I'm glad they're through to the quarters, or sorry, the semis, because, like, I kind of half by predicted it early and then got a lot of stick for it. But I pretty much said right from the get-go, if the Blues are 6th, I wouldn't want to play them in the next rounds. And I still stand by that. I read absence of South African team at Super Rugby has impacted negatively for the All Blacks, says Fareed. Yeah, although, like, they still play South Africa twice in the Rugby Championship alongside the Aussies. Like, I do think there was an adjustment period. But I also do think that when you look through at the squads and you look through at what New Zealand have got, like, depth-wise, compared to, you know, like, after that World Cup, for instance, in 2023, New Zealand lost a lot of caps. Like, they lost Brodie Retallick, Aaron Smith. Just with those two is pretty much all the caps of the back line with the exception of Bowden Barrett. Like, there was going to be an adjustment. And the good thing for South Africa is they started their adjustment earlier. They started planning for the future. New Zealand was stuck in that period of going, we've got these guys, so we've got to use them. But they never thought about what's going to happen after that. A really questionable decision. He seems very emotional. So he picks a side for whatever reason, maybe who speaks nicely to him. Now, he's just had a chat to both sides, and now it's raining at the Aviva. It was sunny like 3 minutes ago. I love Irish weather. You just never know what you're going to get. Ref crying again, says Jimbo. Hamish is a Stormers and Springbok supporter. Says Bruce, on a serious note, are you even being paid to do these commentaries for us? I'm not going to sleep well if you tell me the answer is no. The channel is monetized, but like in terms of the money that is made off the channel, it just goes straight back into subscriptions for like, you know, Sky and also our streaming software and everything like that. So like there is money that goes in, but I don't see it because it just goes straight back into keeping the channel running. Why did they get the worst referee in the URC for this game, says WLK. And Leinster, come on boys, says Doc Martin. Only Leinster in possession 40 metres out from the Glasgow Warriors line. That is a big bit of contact coming in from the Glasgow defence. You look through at this Leinster side, they've just mentioned about no Tyke Furlong. They also don't have Josh Van Flair, Caelan Norris, quite a few guys missing. Ringrose out for this game. No Henshaw, no Hugo Keenan. But still they put out a very competitive side. Off to the left, big run from James Ryan. New Zealand feeling bruised and missing some teeth in the morning after playing South African clubs. Says Gold Story. And Aquilo has got some sadness in there by the looks of it. Is that because you don't have the option to watch it? Because if you don't, if you stick yourself on a VPN and set yourself to either New Zealand or Ireland, you'll be able to watch these games for free. Now drop. No, not a drop goal, sorry. They are going to kick this one up high. And now trying to line it up was Adam Hastings. Actually, two men going up for Glasgow. Looked like a knock on, but it will be play on here. Oh no, now they've found the knock on. And it will now be a Leinster scrum on the 22. All those missing players for Leinster injured. Some of them are. Some are also just for some reason not selected. Maybe tactically, but I think a majority are out with their injuries. Keenan missing for that Glasgow try. I want Glasgow Bulls to win. Then the finale is at Loftus next week. Dion Morris from South Africa says Dion there. And reigning in Ireland, who would have thought? And one, you will make some good money from this. Says Tyrone. And pain is important for Reed. Says Cool Story. And I thought New Zealand got tactics 2017 to 2022 horribly wrong. The first loss to Argentina was horrible strategy by New Zealand. We forgot how to defend, says Studs Race. Yeah, defending does help massively. And like you mentioned, there was just that little patch. Depth, like New Zealand, as up and down as their last season was, the biggest concern, of course, was that last 20 minutes of their games because they just couldn't score points. Like, they slowly fixed it. And I think that they were definitely taking a step in the right direction by the end of the year. But it will be interesting to see what they do this season. Now, going to be Prendergast goes on the outside to Geordie Barrett. They have also got the penalty advantage from scrum time here, 10 metres out from the line for Leinster. Gives them Barks, slings it across there to Sam Prendergast, goes to James Ryan. And four South African coaches in the semis is amazing. Says Outlaw, and all six injured Albert. Says Jimbo. Now kicking this one in behind Prendergast, waiting for the bounce of the ball. It's in the in-goal area, and Hastings has to kick it dead. If we get a Glasgow Bulls final, and the Bulls lose again, surely Jake White gets canned. But the tricky thing is, like, as much as people want to sack him, right? Like, they are still, if they win that game, they are still in the final. And, you know, it's one game that they're getting wrong. But, you know, Champions Cup, of course, they'll be disappointed that they weren't able to get any sort of trophy from that and maybe knocked out a bit earlier than they anticipated. Looks like they are going to be taking on the 3 points here for Leinster, right in the middle of the field. And it is finals rugby at the end of the day, so you do take points when available. And Ireland only have about 2 days of summer a year. And please guess how many cards in the yellow... how many yellow cards in the Bulls and Sharks match? I say about... Oh, you're going 5. Are any of those going to be a red? Out of curiosity. If Leinster lose this, Leo Cullen could be for the chop. Yeah, see, he's a little bit in the same boat as Jake White. How, you know, his side are making it all the way to finals or semis. And then, you know, they have an off day, they lose, and then he gets the sack because the players just didn't quite get the job done. Like, it is a hard world being a coach because unless you win in every single game, someone wants you gone. And go Leinster, try, says Antoinette. And can a coach that gets to the finals 2 years in a row seems tough? Yeah, like, it's pretty brutal, the world of rugby, because people say if you don't win championships, like, you're getting sacked. George Horn, ready to go for this box kick. Glasgow just inside of Leinster's half. Now Kyle Steyn, that's going to be nicely controlled. Now charging forward Cummings. And Glasgow, come on. Says Robert and Ox versus Lowe. I like them both. That's going to be a really good head-to-head. Because Wilco Lowe, I feel like his stocks throughout this URC season have gone up drastically. Like, we saw that Franz Malherbe kind of downfall in a certain regard, and I don't really like calling it that, but in reality, he did lose a lot of form throughout this year. And now running forward, Josh Mackay up to the halfway line, and yeah, Wilco Lowe does look like the real deal in that number 3 jersey. Rush defence there from Geordie Barrett. What's the point of a box kick? It is to try and gain a little bit more territory, a competitive aerial battle as well between two sides, so you can force a knock on, and of course that way you are further down the field. Two coaches that need to go, Leo Cullen and Gregor Townsend. Says Power Bite. Losing finals rugby does get into your head at some point. It can only be overcome once you eventually win it in the end. Says Sighton. And how's it, Hamish, from a cold, wet Stellenbosch? I just came in on the channel. How's the game flowing? It's been pretty decent so far. Definitely, like, Leinster have had more of the ball. I think it's, actually, they've just put it up. 65% possession, 71% territory. Glasgow were able to answer back with a try of their own after we saw the first one scored by Leinster. But two sides defensively have kind of shut each other down quite well, I would say. And now, going in behind, Glasgow putting up the high kick, and it's Kyle Steyn going up for it, slaps it back, and tell you what, he was sensational under the high ball last week as well, up against the Stormers. Horn going back across to the left-hand side. Eventually dragged down by Dan Sheehan. Box kick seems to me just giving away position. Maybe the number 9 wants more camera time on himself, says Xander. See, sometimes, depending on the depth of your box kick, it can look a little bit like you're just trying to lose the ball. But the other side of things can be, you know, you can end up in a really good position on the field. Oh, that was almost the knee of Tommy O'Brien, but it's breaking now. Jamie Osborne, that was some broken play that turned into an extravagant moment for Leinster. Just a couple awkward bounces of the ball. Steyn shouldn't be out jumping low, says Jumbo. To be fair though, Kyle Steyn's very, very springy, I think is the best way of describing him. Oh, that's a forward pass from Glasgow initially that had caused the error. I thought it was just a knock on, but from that angle it was forward, then kicked him behind from Tommy O'Brien. Loses his footing trying to claim that ball, then it's picked up by Gibson Park, who spotted Osborne straight away. I love Ox, but he lost to Wilco, in my opinion, the last time the Bulls played them in Durban. And Hamish, imagine Leinster was the best URC team since the start of the URC competition, yet could never win the title under Leo. Says Esbok. Yeah, but like, I get what you're saying. But like, if they've been the best side, is that not something, like some sort of praise to the coach? Just a little bit? Like, the thing is, finals rugby, like, we might see a new coach come in and maybe Leinster play a lot better. Oh no, TMO check here. TMO check for Gibson Park's pass to Jamie Osborne here. Glasgow getting a little too clever, says Studs Rays. Sounds like a loose game, what's going on here. That moment was definitely loose. That might be the little bit of the slipperiness that they are playing with at the moment, but we're going to see the replay. That's definitely not a massive forward. Yeah, maybe forward by a metre from that other angle. Surely we could check that before he had to do the kick and go back to the halfway line. Seriously, I could watch these games for free. I got super fast Wi-Fi and a VPN, but I'd miss you and roof too much on my Saturday afternoons, says Robert. And TMO always wants to check, is it a try or no try? It looks like it's going to be no try for a forward pass. See how he's going to the TMO? It's a flat pass, but he'll probably say forward. Okay, they're just trying to work out This is taking too long. Slow-mo looks forward. Yes, they're sighted. Yeah, it wasn't the biggest forward pass we have seen. And we've seen ones a lot more forward than it not get awarded as a forward pass. Yeah, so forward out of the hands. It seems like that's... Oh, this is the perfect angle. Where'd they find that one? That angle was pretty much straight on sideways with it. The last one is what the TMO... Who's the TMO? I've never heard that man before in my life. If you're inch off target, you won't have children, says Robert. Okay, it's going to be a scrum for Glasgow Warriors. No try for Leinster, so they will get put back down to the 10 points and go the Blues. Oh, that's right, different game. Still Glasgow despite the score, says Nars Williams. And the score doesn't look as bad for them now, I will mention. It was forward, says I Lollipop. It was. But why did it take so long for them to work it out? Andrew Porter just having a bit of a conversation about Finlay Richardson. And it wasn't forward when he threw it. It was he was running up fast. And they say when a player runs, they can forward pass because of momentum. Is what's happening here. So they always say about looking at the hands of a player. And if you look like you're trying to pass it backwards, you have a lot more chance. Because Gibson Park opted for like a pretty effective just flat boom pass, kind of what you'd expect in like a game of rugby league, like a shovel on. They've decided that it was a little bit more obvious. Leinster is a beast now, says Beverly. Now, nice stepping from Hastings. In your opinion, do you reckon Leinster win the URC if they win here today? Hypothetically speaking, okay, so you're saying Bulls and Leinster in the final. This is controversial, I think. But then at the same time, I have a bit of reasoning behind it. I think that if it's Leinster versus the Bulls, it would be at the Aviva. And I think Leinster would actually win that. Mainly because the Bulls' away record is nowhere near as good as their home. So for them to win the URC, I believe they need those home games. And that's like nothing at all against this Bulls side because the way that they played last week was absolutely outstanding. That's a nice break and run there. That is world-class backline movement from Leinster. Low with the assist. Jamie Osborne now gets his try that was denied only a few moments ago. Do you think the Sharks will be on empty after that wall last weekend? They'll certainly be feeling it. I know that they've lost a few of their players due to that really physical outing. But I think that they'll be up for the challenge up against the Bulls. They've beaten them twice this year. They want to do it again. Anyone having to travel from South Africa to Dublin, going to have a hard time. It's not impossible. It will take a massive effort, says Sakabula. Absolutely. And the thing is, like, no matter what, there's going to be one side, I feel, of course, the home field disadvantage, but the massive disadvantage heading into that final, which is why you want to be at the home. Because for Leinster, you look at them here, if they win this game, which they are getting closer to because of that brilliant try, like, when you see what's happened in terms of that little bit of fatigue from a side having to travel halfway around the world. Leo Cullen's wearing very short shorts in the coach's box. He's got to be careful a nut doesn't slip out. But kick downfield from Jimmy O'Brien. And we have got there, anyone having to travel? Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? And remember though, Hamish, Bulls beat Leinster at the Viva twice in the semis, says Reynaldo. That is true. I think the last time that they beat them in a semi was actually a home game for the Bulls, if I remember rightly. I think it's here. Yeah, they did beat them at Loftus for the last semi-final that they were in. If Sharks win today, Leinster will win easy, says Outlaw. And plus, I reckon the Bulls win today because there's no way Sharks win with even out with injury, says Reynaldo. And what's the score here? The board is saying 15-5. The score is 15-5 after the try was scored, but there was no conversion. Now, mark called by Kyle Rowe. 30 minutes into this contest. It's been going pretty quick so far. He's going to boot this one downfield, almost partially charged by Leinster. Gibson Park takes it on the halfway line, gives it off to Jimmy O'Brien. Chasing after this one is James Lowe, and he might be winning the foot race. Tries to slap it back. Rome might have knocked that one on. Yes, he did. And it's going to be a Leinster scrum now, 25 metres out from the line. James Lowe just tried to give Gibson Park a slap on the back in celebration. Completely missed him. But he certainly did not miss that aerial battle. And Sharks at Loftus made me a bit nervous looking at recent history, but losing Eben is a huge blow. Says Sakabula. Although, was he playing in the last head-to-head between the Bulls and the Sharks? Eben Etzebeth, or was that just before he came back from his injury? Because, of course, that game we did see the Sharks get themselves quite the hefty win. And that one, Nut slips out, Amish still on form. Says Naz Williams. I wasn't paying attention for a second. I think I saw the score go from 18-5 to 15-5, or did I imagine it? The score might have gotten confused. It's an online scoreboard, so it might have just been saying random stuff. That's a penalty to Leinster. And this should be, once again, another easy 3 points if they do want it. And Glasgow don't look like getting advantage so far. It's all Leinster at the moment. Yeah, penalties are starting to add up. In fact, my apologies. Leinster are going for the corner here. Why does home finals always 10 points advantage? Says Brian, like we mentioned, massive plane ride. You know, if you're going from, I'm not even sure what the mileage would be. But if you're going from, let's say here to Dublin flights, you know, you're looking at about 14 hours or so of flying, I think that is. I'm not sure if that's direct or whether that's a connecting flight. Oh, it's got one stop. But like, you know, 13 hours, 12 hours, that's a nice ball. James Lowe in possession. And, you know, that takes it out of you as a player. Definitely if you like moving around, you just don't want to be stuck in a box for that long. It always takes a bit longer to adjust. The good news is they don't have to deal with time zones. That's a try for Leinster, just bulldozing his way over was Thomas Clarkson. It looked like he was just going for the stock standard pick and go, but Glasgow, who are normally known for great goal line defence, just kind of let him slip through. And Bulls versus Leinster final, says Daniel there. On that, I'll say the Springboks is in the end of the era phase. Remember, Evan played at 3 World Cups already. The fact 2 years out from the Rugby World Cup. Bok's going to be out of gas when the 2023 World Cup squad disappears, I assume that is, from Reynaldo. Although they've got some really, really strong youngsters coming up through the rankings at the moment. Very nicely if they go. Says at the net, and you have to wonder, 2 quick fire tries for Leinster here. Has that now just taken all the wind out of Glasgow's sails? They are down by 15 points. Prendergast, he hasn't had the best day off the kicking tee. It's been quite a difficult one for him. And that one's missed as well. 20 points to 5. Horn got taken out, but fair game these days, says Studs Rays. And Leinster in a good position to seal this match. Leinster 4-pack, keeping calm. Yep, they're doing very well. How can I watch in New Zealand? If you're in New Zealand, TVNZ Plus. If you have an email, all you got to do is just pretty much sign up for a TVNZ Plus account. And then you can watch. Same with that Sharks versus Bulls game too. Still got time to blood in the new guys. There's some exciting youngsters itching to get into the box squad. Says Cited. Now, ball is there for James Gibson Park. Goes back to James Lowe. Does kick it down towards the halfway line. Hastings has, I believe it is, Josh Mackay looping around. Trying to find his way through, but Porter gets him early. And the new 52-player squad that Rassi picked last week, the average age is 27. Says Sakabula now trying to go through Tui Palotu. Oh, tried to get the ball there. Tommy O'Brien, he's actually won the penalty for his side. I thought he got the breakdown wrong. But no, in fact, the penalty does go his way. Clarkson looks like the future, says Jimbo. Yeah, like the fact that that guy is as young as he is. And I think we will see a few more guys from that Leinster Academy slowly making their way into the team. Of course, normally it's when all the Irish internationals are not playing that we see those guys really shine. But Thomas Clarkson, while Tyke Furlong's been away, he looks like he's going to be a guy that could really just take that position if need be. And 20 points to 5 is going to be difficult for Glasgow to come back. Yeah, they'll certainly need a try within the next 15 minutes. The benefit that they've had is the missed kicks. And that one wasn't the straightest line out ever. And the knock on, though, from George Horn, that hurts. The first knock on was actually from Leinster, so it will be Glasgow's scrum. Referee in the tank for Leinster says power bite. And Samuel, we have enough depth we will build on, says Marshall. Yeah, just the knock on coming from, I think it was Ryan Beard. Yeah, they did throw up for that one, but 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Anyone who's new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be back for that Sharks versus Bulls game. It's taking place just around the corner. In less than 2 hours' time, that one will be kicking off. Should be a very entertaining matchup. Leinster finally stepping up. Here's LFG. Geordie Barrett having a bit of a conversation with the men on his outside. We haven't actually said that man's name too much at all throughout this game, but they have been using Jamie Osborne a lot more in that 13 jersey. Great step from Tui Pilotu. Manages to turn Sam Prendergast inside out and forces him to miss the tackle. Bounce pass out to Kyle Rowers, tackled by his opposite number, James Lowe. Back off to the left again. A bump through was Finley. Richardson back to the left-hand side. Tui Pilotu takes it out in front of him. Offloads to Kyle Stain for someone who wants the final be in South Africa. This game is frustrating, says Sue. And yeah, like, it is one of those ones that Glasgow, you know, they have struggled with Leinster in the last little while. And it just seems like Leinster have got that little bit of extra control in the game. But yeah, I know a lot of people would have loved to see this game at Loftus and just in South Africa in general. We are going to have to see now a side. Well, that's the thing. There's the potential opportunity for a South African side here. One moment. We'll go URC. Was it 2022 the first year? Yes, it was. So the Stormers won it at home, right? So we have never seen a South African side win the URC in an away game for the final. So that's going to open a big door and a big window of opportunity for the South African teams to be able to do just that. Either the Bulls or the Sharks. That is if Glasgow can't come back into it. Really needs to sort his tackling out in the off-season for Prendergast. Taking a leaf out of Johnny Wilkinson's book. He was dumping front five players. Says Gezan don't want the centres featuring. Means we're keeping Warriors pair quiet. Says Jimbo. Oh, and another knock on. This ball just slipping through the hands. It does seem like that little bit of rain has made it very hard to handle that ball out there. Having a final in South Africa would be a way more exciting and fun, says LFG. I just hope that if it is in South Africa or in Ireland, it's a sellout. If they draw, are we going to have a kicking playoff like last week? They certainly would, although first they'd have the extra time, 2 10-minute halves. And then after that, that would then be the kickoff. Very hard to win an away final from home. Yeah, although if anyone has experience in doing so, it was Glasgow last year, managing to take down the Bulls. I disagree. I think an Irish final will pump. Bulls fan here says Marco, I know it will be the Sharks who win the URC this year. The Bulls cannot win the Sharks, says Big G. And why are Glasgow so bad against Leinster? I think it's just that little bit of extra pressure that Leinster put on them that seems to force the errors. Final in South Africa will be great, says Fareed. Now, another big scrum and another advantage going the way of this Leinster side. Jimmy O'Brien finds the pass to Gibson Park, who pops it up. And one more, James Lowe this time has the handling error. Hastings getting in his face, laughing at him. James Lowe holding him by the collar, saying, we're friends, while still scragging his jersey. The thing is, though, like, I don't know whether or not it's mind games from Hastings, but it's very hard to laugh in a player's face that's beating you by 15 points. You know, and this is Hastings, one of his first games back in a very long time. So, you know, situational, probably not the best choice from Hastings there. And Glasgow is like the Stormers, can't play away games, says Marshall. Although they won the away final last year in South Africa, which I think was something that no one really saw coming. But they can dig deep when they need to. It's just something about this Leinster side just have their number at the moment. And it will be better in South Africa. And Prendergast, give it up. Try darts or snooker. Are you going to tackle fish and chips? He does miss a lot of tackles, unfortunately, for him. Rolling maul now. Right. In this scenario, Sheehan's about to go over for the try, which he does. Where's James Lowe and where is Hastings is my big question. Because I feel like there's going to be a little bit of something said between those two. And Glasgow's have to shift gear. And yeah, another rolling maul try. Leinster now leading by 20. Plastic energy, says Marco. What does plastic energy mean? Like, I think an Irish final will pump. And then plastic energy after. I don't know whether or not that's something to do with the Irish final or not. Dan Sheehan just gets in there low. Manages, or low as in low in the body position without the E. You're like Morpheus from The Matrix. When you said it could potentially be the first away final win for a South African team. That's a cool story, bro. We have got there, it will be interesting to see what happens when with Neighbour if Leinster lose back to the box. Quite possibly. Oh, missing away to the side again for Sam Prendergast. So he has missed quite a few. The ref is unfair and he is blind. Says Marie. Fake energy, perhaps. Yes, plastic energy was the Bongi Manambi who said that. Says Studs Ray. But that is half-time, ladies and gents. 25 points to 5. That does not bode well in the second half for this Glasgow side. They will need 3 converted tries just to be slightly back into this game. Let's go, boys, says Ruth. And also, Sharks will struggle against the Bulls today due to the fact of having a physical matchup last week, says Johan. Yeah, there is plenty to talk about for that matchup. We are going to be going live about 25 minutes before the kickoff of that matchup just to try and get it all squeezed in. But yeah, it will be very intriguing to see what kind of head-to-head happens there. And Prendergast, very disappointing. Should be 30 points to 5 with conversions, says Frank. And that try was Geordie squashing the Warriors in front of Sheehan, says Jimbo. And also Otto's ref at the Aviva gets special. It's bad for us in South Africa that Glasgow losing means we won't have any in South Africa, says Barry. That is true. Whoever wins that Sharks versus Bulls game, they will know that they have to head all the way up to Ireland to face Leinster at the Aviva. But it's all about that challenge. And like I said, it's going to be if whoever wins that game, like you're in that scenario, chance for a South African side to win an away final, which would be quite the statement, I would think. Because this is not so much my words, although I did say earlier on that I feel like the Bulls are much stronger at home than they are away. But a lot of people have been saying throughout this season that the South Africans struggle to win away from home. So I would think that to be able to prove so many people wrong by winning a final away up against the top side like Leinster would be a massive feather in the cap. Yeah, fake energy getting in Lowe's face, trying to intimidate him when he's behind. Yeah, and it didn't really work because all Leinster did was then go get a try, and now they're behind by 20 points. Like, you know, Hastings as a guy, like I said, who's been struggling to even get any minutes due to, I think, injury, but, you know, I think that Tom Jordan was doing a lot better at 10, and I think that reshuffle maybe has hurt them a little bit. What's this? They've got 6 balls set up. What are they going to do with those balls? I assume it's going to be like someone taking shots at the posts. Perhaps for all you Prendergast bashers. The wind is howling here today. We had thunderstorms last night and heavy showers forecast for the evening. Thunderstorms last night and heavy showers forecast for the evening. Does he not like thunderstorms? Perhaps? No, I assume he's saying it's slippery out there on the field. And we have got there, my girlfriend also has lots of plastic energy, Botox, plastic lips, plastic things, etc. Says Bauer bites, so Prendergast can't tackle because it's windy. Says Udestein. And also greetings from Cape Town, raining like hell here, says Roof. And also Morena says Blues Nate, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well and hope you are excited. He doesn't like swirling winds, says Jimbo. Oh yeah, no, they weren't talking about his kicking as the thing that they didn't like. They didn't like the missed tackles from Sam Prendergast. Yeah, like the kicking's going to be what it is. Like, it does look like it's not the pleasantest day. Like, it started off with the sun out in the first half. Hastings is a bit of a spoiled brat. I find him too up on himself given how little he has achieved. So here's power bite. And we have got their fake rugby fans here. So here's Eric. Who, Eric, are you talking about? And allergic to moving ear, says Robert. And Hamish is like a double caramel toffee vanilla ice cream. Very delish. And France ruthlessly exposed Prendergast's poor defence, says Geza. Yeah, it is one of those ones, though, that I believe he will work on it because you have to. At the international game, when people start to find a weakness, they will continuously try and get it and try and expose it. And, you know, Prendergast on attack offers so much. And Leinster can be easily beaten at home, asked to lose, says Winmar. And kia ora Rufo ball as well, mate. Says Nars Williams in there. And we have also got there, it's time for putting on a fire. And, or doing, putting on the fire under duvet with some biltong. Sounds like a decent way to spend some time. And go Leinster, go the Sharks. Says Freddie, I'm busy with work, so doing well. Very cold at the moment. Keep warm, Hamish. Yeah, we had reports that it was supposed to snow at some point in the near future. And it honestly could be snowing now, but I can't see because it's dark. And that was his welcome to the real world, kiddo, that all juniors experience when stepping up to senior level. Says Geza there. And I hope Glasgow has more to show in the second half than just 5 points. I hope so too. I think that if they can score themselves a few tries in quick succession, it's pretty much what they need, though. The thing is, anything less than that, and they will probably be behind at the end of this game. They need quick fire tries time and time again. And we have got there, how's the bookie with Bulls versus Sharks? In terms of the odds, we'll go here and we'll go here. There we go. So the Sharks come in as $3.40 underdogs in that contest. And I actually believe that those were the odds before the lineups were announced. I'm not sure what they are currently. I'll have a quick look while we are at the halftime break. Is there anyone who can, or if there is anyone who can come back from this, it's Glasgow. Yeah, they've had some brilliant second half comebacks throughout their time, and Leinster doesn't even to be out of second, or doesn't even appear to be. I think that is out of second gear. Very composed and patient, says Studs Race. And we have got their Prendergast only tackles when the atmospheric pressure is above 1,000 bars. Clearly, clear blue skies can't tackle in low pressure beneath the grey sky. Glasgow has more to show than 5 points in the second. And final in South Africa will be better because of our weather and Bry, says Fareed. Yeah, I know that if it was in South Africa, there would be a lot of well and truly, like, there'd be huge support, I would think. But, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Like, Leinster, at the end of the day, they've been leading before and they have given up leads. But this one, they just seem to be fully in control. Well, we will go like this. We will go like that as well. There we go. Yeah, second half, I would say we're only moments away. And the thing is, there's a lot that they have to do to be able to get themselves the victory, Glasgow. First of all, they need to shut down this rolling maul that has just been shown about 3 times in terms of the highlight. Also, their bench will have to bring a real impact. Stephen McDowell, he was starting last week, and instead gets to come off the bench for this contest. Johnny Matthews, he's pretty handy when it comes to a rolling maul as well. So just any way that they can get into this contest, you know, an early try is pretty much the bare minimum. One before 10 minutes has passed. And we have got there, did you ever go to Durban Ice Rink in the 90s? Says cool to Roof. And also we have got Franco needs to give them a hell of a halftime talk to get them in there. And Leinster choking usually starts in second half, says LFG. And Loftus is sold out. I hope it's not too low or too loud because I live close by, says Albert. Well, hopefully the weather's turned up. I haven't actually seen what the weather's supposed to be doing at Loftus as of yet. We'll have a quick look now, once again, while we are at halftime. Loftus. Weather is 12 degrees. And that looks like it's supposed to be hopefully clear throughout the whole day. Oh no, sorry, it's probably about 13 degrees Celsius with 16 kilometers of wind, somewhere around there, expected for the start of the game. So yeah, very nice compared to a lot of other locations around the world, and perfect weather here, and it's 16 degrees. So here's Albert there, and Honeycomb and Sneyman. So here's Ruth. And whereas Van den Flair, he is injured. And George Horn and Johnny Matthews, 2 players that Gregor Townsend doesn't either select. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. The fact that some guys who play extremely well at URC level just never quite get that next, I guess, call-up or opportunity to be able to really shine. There'll be plenty of Shark supporters at Loftus, says Freddie, and this is a great scoreline for Leinster. Says Robert Wood, and weather is great at Loftus. Says LFG. Yeah, hopefully the rugby will be too. I think that the Sharks, the biggest thing that they need is to just be able to hang on to that ball. They've had far too many handling errors throughout recent times. I remember I was going to look at something. Oh, it was the odds. $3.60 the Sharks are. So they've actually dropped 20 cents since the lineups were announced. This is not looking good for the Sharks home final. So I can't tell Hamish when the crowd is booing people ahead of time, says Cool Story. And perfect for running rugby, says Cited. And when you have All Blacks players in your team, there will not be stopping your team, says Bronwyn. And perfect for running rugby. And let's goo goo doll balls away. There's room and respect to Glasgow boys for turning up tonight. 40 minutes left, still a chance. Yeah. And if they want any sort of chance of going through to the final, yes. The trickiest part for Glasgow, I do think, not just being down by the 20 points, but also knowing that if you win this game, you're pretty much jumping on a plane straight away to head to South Africa. Like, that's about a 12-hour flight that these guys are going to have to deal with. So I would think they'll come in pretty fatigued into that final. But that's what happened last year. People said, oh, the quick fire turnaround will be what hurts them. But if anything, it just seemed to fire them up to that next level. Two sides making their way out of the tunnel now, though, so we are almost here at the second 40 minutes. Anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are going to be back for the final next week, as well as the Super Rugby semi-finals. George Horn's brother is on the Scotland coaching ticket. Bleak show pony. And can't get past the fact that his younger brother was and is a far better player than he ever was. That's why. Says Power Bite. Called Argus Neyman at halftime. Get a red card so that the Bulls win the final against Leinster, says Sydney. And I saw the Springbok New Girls live at Burn in Durban. That's pretty South African of me, right? Is it? And winter and sunny in South Africa except the Western Cape. They get winter rain, says Freddie. Now Glasgow, they'll be kicking off from right to left with a 20-point deficit. There's a lot of work to be done. But like someone mentioned earlier on, if any side were going to be able to do it, it would be this Glasgow Warriors team. They've come back from big margins before. They can score tries in very quick succession. But just one try for now has to be their next goal. Leinster, possession just inside of their 22. And 4 tries already on the board as well. So, yeah, you just wonder. One more try, they're probably completely out of it, Glasgow. But for now, they are within 3 converted tries. That's a very good kick. Downfield from Jameson Gibson Park from inside of his 22. Other teams don't mind travelling to South Africa to look at the last 2 finals. Says Pyman, that is true. Like, sometimes it's the extra motivational factor, isn't it? But you just know that in this contest in particular, if Glasgow somehow do win, they're going to be battered and bruised because they will have to put on an absolute clinic in the second half. A big shot coming in on George Horn. They did face a Irish side in the last semi-finals in the URC 2024 competition. It was up against Munster. I think the score was 17 points to 10 in that game. I used to party at TJ's nightclub in Kings Park. That feeling 90s in Bok. Says Power Bite and Glasgow need a quick score in this half. That one's going to be kicked out on the full, though, from Glasgow. So that is the last thing that they wanted at this stage of the match. Shout out to Robert Darlin. I always enjoy second half, says Ruth. Now ready to throw this ball in for Leinster. Biltong under the duvet. Kinky girl. I felt weird reading that, Robert. I won't lie. Weird set play, running horn into the front of the opposition line out. Says Studs raised now. Prendergast goes for the up and under. And for this one to come down, Kyle Stain, normally pretty solid under the high ball, but it's actually Andrew Porter who ended up with that ball. I can't see Sale beating Leicester in the Premiership semi-final. Yeah, I think it will be a bit too much of a mountain to climb. Has there been a confirmed time for that Premiership final, by the way? Because if it doesn't overlap with the URC final, perhaps we could cover that final too. It's on the 14th of June. Something that has been confirmed. But yeah, I'm not too sure what the time will be that game happens. Cape Town, rainy and cold today. What results decides who hosts the final. So if Leinster win, they host one of the two South African sides facing off in the other semi. If Glasgow win, then whoever wins Bulls versus Sharks hosts the final. So theoretically, there are 3 locations that the final can be hosted. But at the moment, for one of them to be a reality, Glasgow would have to win. But if Glasgow do not win, then no matter what, it's guaranteed to be a home Irish final. Make the most of the 5K radius around the Shark Stadium, so Hamish won't be disappointed in me. Says Cool Story. And also, Leinster won an away final from Aviva win. Says Fareed. Well, not in recent times anyway. But yeah, we've seen Munster win an away URC final, and we have also seen Glasgow win an away URC final. Oh, a big shot. George Horn actually looked like he got tackled there by James Lowe, even though Lowe had possession. Horn does well to crawl out of that breakdown. Gibson Park goes back across to Dan Sheehan. They beat Glasgow in Glasgow in a final a few years ago. Celtic Park. Says it was Giza and Hamish, does the Hurricanes play another game or are they out of Super Rugby? They are now out of Super Rugby, and that is due to the Blues causing the upset. Bring final to South Africa. Will offer you sardines. Says Fareed, so you're saying that if I can somehow rig this game, you will give me some fish? Sounds like a pretty good deal, if we're being honest. Come on, Scotland, says Sakabulla. 4 tries for Leinster. I believe they have missed 3 kicks just at this point in time. It looks like Talakai will now make his way onto the field. In fact, quite a few changes are being made here. Johnny Matthews will make his way on for Hiddleston. Sutherland on the field for Jamie Barty. Talakai on the field for Richardson. And Williamson, I did see, also made his way on. I think that was for Alex Samuel. I'm off work for 3 weeks. Perfect timing, says Doc Martin. And for Reed's defence, sardine slap, says Marco. Do you like your sardines? It might sound like a weird question, but sardines in tomato sauce, yes or no? I see that they do have cans of it where it has tomato sauce with the sardines, and I've always looked at it and gone, I don't think I could do that. But is that a good combo? Box kick here from Jameson Gibson Park down towards the 22, slap back. Oh, George Horn's hands have fallen off. Seems to be having all sorts of troubles trying to hang on to that position. Has there been a final outside of South Africa yet, says Pyman? There actually hasn't, I don't think. I think the first final, it was Stormers' home game. Second final was Stormers' home game again, wasn't it? And then third was a Bulls' home game. It's yummy on toast, says Jimbo. And too many handling errors from Glasgow, says Sighted. Yeah, unfortunately they have to hang on to this ball a little bit safer than they are. Because if you're just given the possession straight back to Leinster, they will make you pay. Joe McCarthy, quick hands, goes off to Dan Sheehan, finds Geordie Barrett. And Canfish is a very sad thought, says Christopher. Is in for the fish or just in general? Horn's got hands like frying pans today, says Studs Rays. Now cross kick. Goes up to James Lowe. Beautiful inside ball to Jimmy O'Brien. Pressure in the breakdown from Glasgow, but they just can't get that ball. That's going to be knocked on by McCarthy, but they'll go back for the original penalty advantage. It's not all good tomato sauce. It's not real tomato sauce, says Albert. And they go together well, says Sakabula, and bring on the Super Rugby semi-finals and URC final and Premiership Rugby next week, says Doc. And I hope all is well. It's been a while. I hope all kicking, says Jean. And it is great to see you here once again. I'm sure you are excited for that South African derby just around the corner, Bulls versus Sharks. I'm hoping that game's going to be a lot closer than this one. This one's just a little bit too one-sided for one's liking currently. Leinster have once again opted to go for the corner. So they have decided against three-pointers multiple times throughout this game. And the reason for that is because they have scored multiple times when heading towards the corner. A rolling maul. They are going backwards for now, but Sheehan breaks off the back 1 metre short. That was brilliant defence from George Horn. But Glasgow, how long can they hold on? Their fish should primarily be eaten as sashimi, raw and fresh out of the water. So here's Christopher. Now Gibson Park going off to the right-hand side. Geordie Barrett, man, they've hit him hard, but he's still, I thought, got the grounding, but they've said there's a knock-on. I think that was from the assistant referee, but Barrett really got, like I said, absolutely smashed in that one. Not against Leinster, says 9HD. Bit high, if we're being honest. Yes, he does drop it there, Geordie Barrett, but I think he might have got hit on the chin. Oh, he was ducking down, though, so I feel like that kind of evens it out. Yeah, knocked it on. Says Saiter, but now attempted a drop kick from Sam Prendergast. It's gone straight into the hands of the Glasgow Warriors. At least I think that was a drop kick. Now, good clearing kick from Josh Mackay down towards the halfway line yet again. 48 minutes in. Still another 32 minutes left for Glasgow to try and find something. We started with 2 teams in the final, although maybe in general we are looking pretty good. Says Cool Story. Yeah, every single URC has had a South African side in the final, hasn't it? And the trend will continue, although this will be the first one that happens outside of South Africa. I live by an ice rink, says Farid. It's never any good at ice skating. I couldn't get the hang of it. I had to use one of those Zimmer frame type situations. That's going to be a good run from Jamie Osborne, him and Gibson Park. Linking up very nicely. Now Sam Prendergast going for the little chip in behind. Great speed shown by O'Brien. That time being Tommy. Now Gibson Park off to the side and Sam Prendergast just looking up and does knock it on. I think it might have been a bit of a low pass from Gibson Park too. How was that not high on Geordie? I think it was because he was dipping down. Is the only reason that it wasn't considered as a high shot. Jesus Contagious, says Studs raising Glasgow. Gave game away to keep South Africans happy, or keep South Africans away, says Farid. What's your quick opinion on the new confusing playoff format for the Super Rugby? It really didn't make a lot of sense. But at the same time, like, the team that deserved to get through, even with a loss in the playoffs, did get through. So, like, that's good, I believe. But, like, that game between Brumbies and Hurricanes, there was a chance that that was going to be, no matter who lost, still got to go through, even though they were ranked 4th. And I feel like that was maybe a little bit too low down. So I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. But now we're at the nice easy stage. Semi-finals, Chiefs versus Brumbies, Crusaders versus Blues. That's a lot easier to follow than the playoff of the best ranked loser, the lucky loser as they call it. Luckily, that's no longer a thing we have to worry about. Penalty does go the way of Leinster. Glasgow Warriors, no clear release. And snow forecast for Johannesburg tomorrow. If you can believe such a thing, says Robert. And good day, Amish, says Demon. Right, what is the decision? Right, the posts are actually called here by Leinster, so they have decided that 20 points is a pretty handy lead, but they love an extra 3 just to get them that little bit closer to victory. Sam Prendergast, he's got, I think it is 2 from 5 today. I honestly don't see Glasgow coming back from this one. Leinster is in it to win it today, says So Incredible. Yeah, they've been in the right parts of the field, Glasgow. And, like, as much as we are trying to find a way of praising what Glasgow have done here, Leinster have just been all over them. And they've made it very difficult. Plus, like, the handling that we've seen. Oh, it's hit the post and bounced back out. Now 2 from 6 for Sam Prendergast. And Henko Fenta now going off to Sione Tuipulotu, ball in possession of the Glasgow Warriors on their own 22. And sensible choice, but Prendergast off the tee is having a shocker, says Geza. And Prendergast is at 50% accuracy and a lot of errors. Bring back Crowley, says Frank. Now Tom Jordan with the step. And I'll be honest, that man outside of being a 10, in terms of him being 12, we haven't seen him anywhere near enough in this game. He's been one of the key players for Glasgow. He's been absolutely incredible throughout the last few weeks. And I just feel like moving him into 12 just doesn't work. You know, you got to have him as that 10. Adam Hastings, I don't think we've seen him do hardly anything throughout this game. And damn it, Glasgow, damn it, says Justin. And Hamish, Kiwi Rob was saying to you, you owe him an apology for writing off the Blues. The thing is, though, if Kiwi Rob decided to actually listen, he'd know that I said that the Blues would still be in the top 6 and that I wouldn't want to play them as any of the top sides because of what they did to the Chiefs. But now, Geordie Barrett and the ball up. Jamison Gibson Park going off to this left-hand side. Still in position here, Leinster. Looking for try number 5, attack and run from Tommy O'Brien. Gibson Park. Goes to Joe McCarthy. Now, at what point, if you're Leinster, do you start making switches and decide to, I guess, preserve a few guys? Because you've got the likes of James Lowe out there, who they'll definitely want to have. You've got Geordie Barrett. Jamie Osborne's proven that maybe he should be the one that they do sub for the sake of being fresh. Dan Sheehan, I wouldn't be surprised if they take him off soon. But then the other problem is, you know, you're still in a playoff game, but that's going to be more than likely a yellow card here for Glasgow for diving in off the feet in the breakdown. They're pushing Tom Jordan around a little bit here. And Crawley out of every tournament already. Not even considered for Munster MVP this year, says Jimbo. And Hastings is a bad selection, says Powerbite. Hastings is just a famous name. He hasn't earned his place. Yeah, I do think that if Jordan was at 10, we would see a lot more attack coming from this Glasgow side. Right, referee's now calling Glasgow's captain over, I believe. And Glasgow may have played their cards last week. No taps, fold cards, says Doc. Right, next one is going to the bin of Goldstein, just kind of shrugs it off. Predict the Blues. We're never going to make the 6s as well. I got it wrong. Says Blues Nate. I did just tune in again. Looks like Glasgow not going to win, says Bruce. Yeah, it does look very unlikely for the Glasgow side to come back into this one. Definitely with where Leinster are looking, and that is towards the corner. And Hamish wants Leinster to rest players. That didn't work before, I don't think. Not rest them, but take them off slightly earlier than full time. The last thing that they want when they've already got an injury list as long as they have is another injury for one of their top guys. So, like, I'm not saying give them the whole week off. I'm just saying maybe take them off at 25 minutes remaining rather than 5 minutes remaining. Dan Sheehan ready to throw this ball in, taken by Jack Conan at the front of the rolling maul. Now, slowly creeping forward, Sheehan breaks off the back again. He's shut down by Rory Darge, 5 metres out from the line. Gibson Park, short ball to Ryan Beard. Now, skip pass, finds Dan Sheehan again, 2 metres out. Gibson Park could have gone himself, but he gives it off to James Ryan, who would be dragged down inches from the line. And so what happened here, Hamish? Well, we're about to see a try there. It is the wide cutout pass from Jamison Gibson Park, and Jamie Osborne gets himself another. Hamish talk Leinster into resting more players. It's our only hope. Says Powerbite. Well, they've almost got enough of a lead that they can afford to. They're currently up by 25 with another try scored with a kick still to come. Jamie Osborne, he's had an outstanding game in that number 13 jersey. Game over, says Salah, and cheers, Hamish 3 a.m. And I'm calling it. See you next time, says Studs Race. So we also probably see you next week, I think, for those semi-finals. Chiefs, Satyrs, Brumbies, Canes, and Moana. Says Blues, Nate. And this game is long over, says Suckerball, and Low having a good game, says Robert. Kick has gone over from Sam Prendergast. 32 points to 5 now, so South Africa knows its fate. Pretty much, yes. Whoever wins between the Bulls and the Sharks, they will head to Ireland, to the Aviva, in front of what hopefully will be a sold-out crowd. We're kicked off now. Still 25 minutes remaining here. Good pressure coming from Glasgow. Chase their own kick and forces the Leinster player into touch. Who's everyone going for in the Bulls versus Sharks game? Bull for me, says Pyman. They're up by 27 already, says Power, but they certainly are. Looks like now the changes are starting to happen. Right, Frawley, I should say, coming on for Geordie Barrett. So that is change number 1. Barrett, you know, he might be a little bit disappointed that he's off, but he will know why it is. And that is so that he is fresh for the next game, injury-free. The finals won't be at the Aviva, Croke Park. Well, apparently, so they're going Croke Park for the final. Interesting choice. I get why they're doing it, of course, but, you know, Leinster have been going pretty well at this Aviva Stadium for the URC anyway. And Croke even, says Ian. And Jake White versus Naneba for a fight. For a final, I should say, from Farid. And I've got there. I have to say that I detest the Sharks. So long as they lose, I'm happy, says Power Bite. Now, low tackle made. Sitting about 40 metres out from their line here. Leinster, Jack Conan. Tackle by Cummings. And maybe Glasgow, I thought it was too much of a task to also travel to South Africa next. A ridiculous choice, Croke Park unnecessary, says Jimbo. Oh, good aerial battle. It is won by Glasgow, who have now got the ball. They need some tries, and they need them soon. What website did you see? The temperature for Pretoria is 13 degrees, says Albert. I looked up Loftus Versfeld weather, and it came up as 13. So I don't know whether it's wrong for me. It probably is. I think you said it was 16 degrees, didn't you? We have got their Leinster on the way. Says Ruven, maybe Glasgow thought it was too much of a task. Oh no, I read that one. And I hope the Sharks win over the Flow Bulls. This game is over for the Warriors. Yeah, and it just seems like a matter of time. The sun's back out though, so at least that's one thing. We went from sun at the start to rain, back to sun. Leinster pulled away, says Ruth. And just one more game to go. Leinster doing great, says Blues Nate. Johnny Matthews. And backwards in the big shot from Argeir Sneyman, who has also made his way on. So I think a lot more changes have been made for Leinster too. The front row has also been switched. Well, nice take from James. Low down the wing, breaking away. Thought about the ball on the inside, but he does offload it up to Ryan Beard instead. They're trying their best to shut him down. It looked like maybe they were tackling him a little bit too high, though, in the process. Now back across to the right-hand side, Sam Prendergast thought about the inside ball, but goes across now to Scott Penny, who does go inside this time. Conan on the outside. The step there from O'Brien. Looks for the offload, finds Frawley. That is a brilliant team try. And that is try number 6 here for Leinster. Frawley, who's only been on the field for about 2 minutes, has got himself the try. But that was probably about, I don't know how many offloads that would have been. Probably about 3 or 4 in a row. And Sharks will not defeat Leinster overseas. Yes, says Gerhard. And this was the biggest game in deciding South Africa's URC outcome. It's starting to look like a cricket score, says Suckerballer. Yeah, the last time these two sides played in the URC, it was 13 points to 5. And Leinster have certainly ramped up from that. But it's bad news when you've got Talakai as the man who's trying to cover out on the wing. Well, if it wasn't over then, it's over now. Says Geza, and shame Glasgow are not as good this year. Says Albert. Yeah, still pretty solid though. Be able to make it through to the semis. It's a pretty tough draw when you find yourself up against a determined Leinster in Ireland. 37 points to 5. That kick is missed from Sam Prendergast again. That'll be one thing that maybe the South African sides are looking at with a bit of excitement, is the fact that there have been so many missed kicks from Sam Prendergast. And we have got there Frawley better than Prenter Choker, says Power Bite. And Frawley's on, he is indeed. They did take off Geordie Barrett. Played my varsity rugby in Pretoria on cold winter nights. The lung burn is intense, says Robert. Enrico Ioane off to Leinster. He was outstanding even though he was missing in action tonight, says Blues Nate. He will be playing next week, of course, up against the Crusaders in Christchurch. That's going to be a big one for them. Ready for the line out. Chance here for Johnny Matthews. That one's gone to the back. Nice inside ball. Kyle Steyn. Now in possession. Another good attacking run forward. To the right-hand side. Steyn stayed down for a little bit of time there. Hopefully we'll be all right. Tom Jordan trying to break through Ardegas name, and that's always going to be a bit of a tough challenge. Almost was a knock-on by the replacement 9 that time, but he shut down early. And the big tackle coming from, it was Jack Boyle, but the penalty goes the way of Glasgow. Game is over, says 17. And Frawley or Crowley as the new 10 of Ireland, and the chandelier's fallen on the fat lady, says Cool Story. And weather is looking to be much better next week here in Ireland, says Pie Man. Are you telling me that we are going to have a game where it doesn't go from sun to rain to sun again, Pie Man? We're going to avoid that little rainy patch in the middle, because I think in their quarterfinal up against the Scarlets, it did the same thing, the weather, didn't it? Sia Khaleesi is going to eat Loftus grass for dinner, courtesy of Kutsia. Sia Khaleesi is going to eat Loftus grass. So you're saying that, like, is a good thing for the Bulls, right? Like, you're not saying he's just going to eat the grass, like, in a good way. And Drew Hamish, thank goodness Stefan Arnuku won't be surfing. Says Blues Nate, looks like Prendergast now going to be taken off the field. That is for Ross Byrne. And who knows what the weather will be like these days, says Geza. It is kicked downfield again. Josh Mackay, big shot. Coming in on him. Big film from Tui Pilotu. I don't know, Leinster will win here, yes. Yeah, they should do anyway. Unless something really, really drastic happens. It should be a Leinster win. Now, kicked high. Waiting for this one to come down. Kyle Steyn once again managing to slap it back. He's done well in the air over the last few weeks, but sadly that possession just hasn't really led to anything for the Warriors. I'm an Irishman now. I hope you don't think I'm a traitor, Hamish. Says cool. And thank the Lord the Stormers didn't make the semis cricket score, says Neil. Yeah, it's starting to ramp up that way. 32 points difference between these two sides. Tom Jordan, the pick and go next to the breakdown. Frawley hit his head hard on the turf. Now Dobie back across to Williamson. I have to be honest, it would have to be one of the most drastic comebacks in the history of rugby. Yeah, only the 18 minutes remaining. And when you're down by this much, that clock goes so fast. Like one moment you think you've got just enough time, and then all of a sudden 5 more minutes passes. Definitely when the opposition have scored as many times as they have. That was a brilliant run forward from Jack Boyle, but then had the ball stripped off him. Leinster still with possession though, back across to the left-hand side. Ross Byrne finds Jamie Osborne, thought about the cross kick, now he decides to go for it, and Kyle Steyn does call the mark. One moment, I'm about to sneeze, I'll quickly mute. We are good. And thanks, says Robert. And Bull Sharks going to be awesome. I have no idea who will pull through, although Sharks have the better BMT. Says Stefan there. Yeah, it's going to be an insane game. We are going to be doing, I think it's about maybe 25 minutes of build-up for that contest, just to go through, of course, what has happened in this one and also the teams and the previous fixtures, etc. So we will be starting that live stream in about 40 minutes' time. So if you guys are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated you all being here for these matches. Jameson Gibson Park thought about going in behind, but instead will go off to the left-hand side. James Lowe, wide cut-out pass to Ronan Kelleher. Oh, he was in touch. And there's now going to be a Glasgow line-out. Ross Byrne, the forgotten 10, says Geza. Yeah, he's been very unfortunate, Ross Byrne, hasn't he? Because there was a time where he was an absolutely massive prospect. And then that kind of all disappeared when the shiny new younger players came up through the rankings. The likes of a Prendergast who kind of took the spotlight. And Sanity is a best served hot and cold. See you later. See, it's good story. And surface looks really slippery. Yeah, just from that run from Killar when he was trying to propel himself back inland and just kept on slipping that little bit more. If you sneeze 11 times consecutively, you have an instant orgasm? Well, there you go. I guess I need a feather. Now, going to be a nice step coming from Kyle Steyn. Low tackle made. And Leinster's defence has just been solid throughout this game. Every time there's almost been that line break, but Glasgow, they manage to get that last-ditch tackle in. I love Jacques, the coach, but South Africa rule. Says Heather there. And I haven't followed much this season. Can't decide who to back for the Sharks versus Bulls semi. It honestly could go either way. Like, the Sharks have beaten them twice this year. Or twice this season, I should say. That was a 4-pass from Glasgow right in front of the referee. But he says, we'll just let it slide. Little grubber attempted there from Glasgow. But the ball sits up for Ross Byrne. Pops it now to Max Deegan. Plus, he has always been solid for Ireland when he played, says Geza. Oh, nice pass from Ross Byrne out to Scott Penny. Stepping there, inside ball. Gibson Park goes over the head of the referee. Another step. Kelleher driving 22 metres out, looking for the next pass, but couldn't quite get it away. Scott Penny goes across to Argia Sneyman, who managed to get his offload away. Now told to get out of that break, and all that looked like an illegal clean-out from Leinster. A little bit aggressive with it. Now Ross Byrne, grubber in behind. Frawley chases it. Will be forced down by Steyn. Bulls or Shark, they will give it their all in Ireland. And Bulls beat them 3 times. And our muscle them up front, says Fareed. And also we've got the South Africa's rule, my sister, says Fareed. And if I pick Leinster to win in your poll now, is it cheating? Well, I guess the poll's still open. So I guess not. I guess it still kind of counts. Rugby is a simple game played by 30 men chasing a ball for 80 minutes. And in the end, South Africa wins, says Petrus. Now Gibson Park passes off to the right-hand side. Joe McCarthy popping it up to Max Deegan. So they have just said the Croke Park final. So yeah, it won't be at the Aviva, unfortunately, for that next contest. And absolutely Fareed. And if Bulls have no big injuries today and beat Sharks, they will beat Leinster up north, says Albert. And what shall we brine next week? We'll be in the bush north of Pretville. I reckon Free State chops and rump steaks to celebrate sounds good, says Truth and Justice. I think any braai sounds good from what I've heard about them. But now Glasgow still inside of that 22. They aren't really moving forward at this point in time. And I think that that's just one of their biggest problems, that they just can't get away. Leinster slowly suffocating this Glasgow side. 13 minutes remaining. Just a reminder, Sharks won both the games this year against the Bulls in the URC, says Jean. They certainly did. And, it will be intriguing because based off that, you'd think the Sharks have a pretty good chance. But based off current form, the Sharks have been so inconsistent. And the only thing that's been consistent for them has been the amount of times they drop the ball in a game. And that has been a lot. But if there's any type of game that will get them to the next level mentally, it's going to be a South African derby. I'm not a Leinster game, but Leinster is on fire. Says Carpenter there. Now Frawley in behind finds O'Brien, who has a lot of space to work with. Kyle Steyn, fantastic. Last-ditch tackle there in Glasgow, managing to get themselves the turnover. It's been so tough, like I mentioned, for them to get any sort of momentum going. Another big driving tackle. Rolling it back, being told to use it once more. George Horn. So I imagine, Hamish, the stuff you have to tolerate here, says Ruth. Now Frawley Leinster again. It's been very, at times, repetitive in terms of Glasgow attacking from their 22, have to kick it because they don't really have too many other options in that scenario. And then Leinster just go about 5 or so phases and then try some sort of fancy plan that either pays off or it doesn't. That time, though, Gibson Parker smashed it straight into the face of his teammate. Now Glasgow, they will kick it down the field, picked up by Deegan, offloaded up to Byrne. Looking for the 50-22, or at least half a attempt at it. Nicely taken by Tom Jordan, who will run it up to the 22. Now passed off to the right-hand side. Good breaking run from Josh Mackay as Kyle's staying with him, but he's going to back his pace on the inside. Beautiful pass. Johnny Matthews tries the grubber. It sits up for Tom Jordan, who is then tackled by O'Brien. Still offloading here for Glasgow, but they once again squander the chance. James Lowe off his right boot kicks it out on the full, so it will be the line out for Glasgow just out from their 22. Did they just say that they are going to have the scrum? What a great run for Josh Mackay. Been a long evening for you, bro. That was conveniently timed with the yawn, but yeah, we've been up for, I don't even know how many hours at this point, probably about 19, somewhere around there. You don't go Ireland wearing kilts, ask the Bulls, says Fareed. This is going to be controversial. If Bry was any good, would be popular worldwide and not just in South Africa, says Pyman. But there are forms of Bry around the world. Like for us in New Zealand, a barbecue's popular. In Brazil, they have, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a similar thing except it's in the wall. So like, I feel like there are forms of it around the world. It's just called things that are different. And referee is so invisible, says Ruth there. And we are stronger together, says Heather. And also Judge Hamish. I have to be neutral. Love of the commentary banter between fans, says Petrus. And dedicated, says Just Poker. And there as well. And of course, next week we are going to be live for the final of the URC. And balls on a garlic roll with mustard, says Ruth. Now it will be the scrum for Glasgow. 22 metres out from the opposition line. And how's it from South Africa, says Digital Manaba. Welcome in. You are doing very well, and I hope you are excited for that South African derby kicking off now in less than an hour, which is very exciting and also very nerve-wracking for both of those two sides. I believe Leinster will take the URC Cup. They have all the Ireland players at Leinster, so it'll be a difficult one for the Bulls, says Carpenter. But of course the Bulls, you know, they still have a game up against the Sharks that they have to win. I feel like a lot of people are just saying straight away it's going to be Bulls versus Leinster, but, you know, the Sharks have a 100% winning record up against the Bulls for this season of the URC. And even though the Bulls come in as favourite, they still have to make sure they get that job done first before booking themselves the plane tickets. Oh, it's going to be another penalty, this time going the way of Glasgow. That is for not releasing. I'm happy to be under the duvet. It's foul weather out here and Bulls haven't won yet. Game hasn't even taken place yet. Says Geza. Are you going to do the Bulls Sharks game as well or actually get some rest? We are going to be doing that game on the channel. We are going to also have about a 25-minute build-up. So our commentary for that one will start in 30 minutes time from now. As when the live stream is scheduled for. We'll have quite a bit of talking about that game. We'll see Carpenter, says Heather. And the Bulls have played their best rugby. Sharks have yet to, and I think today they will, says Gary. And so Bry is just a barbecue. It's a different form of an outdoor cooking thing. Like I said, Brazil have their own name for it, which I can't remember. New Zealand, Australia, you know, it's a barbecue. But a braai is slightly different to that in the way that it is kind of the meals are or the food is prepared. Like, I'll go one moment. Braai versus a barbecue. So a braai is a South African term for a barbecue. So, yeah, it's just a different way of, like, barbecue is most likely to end when the food is ready and served. Another difference is the type of food cooked for a braai. So a braai is pretty much also kind of an event, I guess you could say, too. That's the word. I couldn't remember how to spell it or say it, so that is the one. I don't even think I could pronounce it now looking at it. Does the Sharks have an anus? I'm struggling to get the rod in for a spit bry. Any help? They do. I don't know why I know that, but they do. Fish normally do. Oh, nice piercing run there. And that's going to be Jamie Dobie, who actually does manage to score the try for Glasgow. It's a bit of a annoying one, I would think, for the coaches. And in Argentina, it's Asado. And good news, South African clubs are going to get the grand finals braai ready. I know braais are better than a barbecue. Only South Africans know how to braai meat. Says Heather. And sneaky try, says Sighted. It was a very sneaky little piercing run around the side of the breakdown. And we have the, I know that the Sharks will feel it from last weekend, but a derby will rise them. Yeah, exactly right. If the Sharks were playing any side other than the Bulls, I think that they would probably struggle this week. But because it's up against a South African team, they're going to be really trying to find that next level. Halftime between Leicester and Sale, 13-3 to the Tigers. Standing around a braai, the smell of the wood burning as your meat grills. Drinking a brandy, it'll change you. I love your commentary. I have the TV on volume down and your podcast volume up. Thanks for all your content, says Gary. Thank you very much for being here as well. Yeah, it's actually quite amazing the amount of people who do watch the games like that. For anyone who's trying to sync up their game with mine, mine's currently 72 minutes and 49 seconds. But yeah, hopefully it's there or about. And thank you for Reed. Says Heather. That one's going to be kicked in a touch by Glasgow. We're able to also convert 73 minutes and 37-12. So that is the most that they have managed to score for themselves up against Leinster this year. And braai every day of the year. Says Freddie there. And Sharks have the old box. The Bulls the new, going to be interesting. Says Truth and Justice. Like they've said, Glasgow, they now know that their season is done and dusted. But they would still love nothing more than to be able to get themselves the victory here. Going to the short side for Joe McCarthy. And can Leinster make it 40 points? I think so. 6.5 minutes, and they're only about probably 6.5 metres out from the try line now. Scott Penny passes it across to Frawley. Did score pretty much instantly from when he made his way onto the field. Like one of the Glasgow players was staying down. It was Talakai, but he is back up now. Back across to the left-hand side. Looping around was Max Deegan, getting driven towards a sideline. And I think there was an advantage. Favour of Glasgow for a knock-on. Kick downfield from Kyle Rowe. Retreating is Ross Byrne. Sold the dummy, looking both ways. Goes off to the left-hand side. And Jimmy O'Brien cuts through. Tries to grab a well done there from... I believe it was Josh Mackay managed to get in the way of it. Stop that ball from sneaking through. Have you noticed some kind of illness by 50? You are not Brian correctly. Says Cool Story. And I'd guess Neyman is one of us, a legend and a part of the Springboks. Says Heather. Watching from Dublin, the scorecard on the screen is a spoiler for me. It's about 1.5 minutes ahead. Says Biohazer. Yeah, sometimes it's weird because sometimes the scoreboard's way behind and other times it actually plays ball and sometimes gets a little bit too quick. Still the 5 minutes left. It's going to be a scrum feed for Glasgow, so they honestly could get themselves another try here, but just don't think it will be enough. Get them back into it. Ryan Beard, the URC player of the match. He's had a very solid game from that number 6 jersey. Sounds like the crowd very much appreciating what he's been able to do throughout this game as well. Just talking about the fact that he can play pretty much any position that is required of him. In that loose forward trio, I should mention, as well as the locks, maybe not so much the other positions across the team. And we have got there cherry sauce and vanilla. Sorry, Amish, but try to pronounce it. Well, is it Pennycoic? I don't think it would be, though. I'm trying to think of what the pronunciation would be in Afrikaans. I feel like I probably butchered it badly. We have got there, Hamish loves mango ice cream, says Ruth. And Sharks have the old box Bulls, the new, going to be interesting. Yeah, very intriguing game. Just around the corner. We will be starting our commentary for that one in 25 minutes' time. Creepy Trophy triple. Afrikaans pancake, says Cited. And could we see 2 new finalists in the final, says Rian. It is a possibility. Like, that's the thing. Leinster, as strong of a team as they are, they have never been in a URC final. So this is their big chance. And not only that, they're going to be at home for this URC final as well. Now the big question with 3 minutes remaining in this game is, who are they going to be playing? Will it be the Bulls? Will it be the Sharks? In about 2 hours' time, we will know exactly who won that game. But that is the penalty going the way of Glasgow. 3 minutes remaining. They might as well just quick tap this, but I think they're going to opt to go for the corner. Just saw us having an ad on how to start your own toilet paper factory. Well, that'll be very handy. And barbecues aren't even popular here in Ireland. I don't know why, says Byman. And make sure you take a breather, Hamish. It's been a busy day for you, says Geza. Yeah, it will be our 4th live stream of the day, but we've got a big one just around the corner. Hamish, I had a first vanilla Coke since 2005. Brought back memories of joy and laughter. I don't think I've ever had a vanilla Coke. And I'm losing my game of Risk. Younger people won't know what that is because I'm focused on the Kiwi lads. I've never played it, but I know roughly what it is. I think I've played the Xbox game of it, which tells you once again that it is a slightly older one. And Freddie, you're making me homesick, says Heather, but now the ball is there for Jamie Dobie. Going away to the right-hand side, stepping from Sione Tuipulotu. Great run from him. What a sensational try. But once again, like, could they have done this earlier? Like, the score's going to look not too bad at the end of this game. The kick has gone over 2. Looks like Tuipulotu might have hurt his shoulder a little bit. Of course, that is not what they will want, as he is supposed to be heading to that British and Irish Lions store. But 37 points to 19. And the rain started again. It was sunny like 3 minutes ago. Where was this earlier from Glasgow? Yeah, and that's what can be so frustrating. You know, watching them here in the last, let's say, 10 minutes or so just looks like a different team. And I don't know whether or not it's the fact that Leinster have tired, or maybe it's down to the fact that they've made so many changes and the guys off the bench aren't quite cutting it as the guys were in the starting side. But like 1 minute remaining, another try here for Glasgow makes this a very competitive looking score, even though, let's be honest, it has been far from that. It's chucking with rain now. Yeah, I can actually hear it through the microphone of the stadium, absolutely pouring down. Oh, wow, yeah, you can see it big time. Starting to bucket. But that is going to be kicked in behind by Glasgow. Awkward bouncing ball in the rain, but Jamie Osborne. The man's performance has been sensational throughout this contest. Too little, too late. And now it looks like Leinster are actually going to go with a few slow phases here. Being told to use it by the referee again, but this looks like they're just ready to close out this game. These late tries will do Leinster good. Reminder not to switch off, says Geza. Although I love the Bulls and the Sharks, says Heather. So you're going to absolutely love that next match when it does take place. We are going to be live for it on the channel. All right, ball is there again for Leinster. Right. Last minute penalty. I don't think you take any risks here if you're Leinster. Yet they've kicked it out and they will move through to their first final in the URC in the pouring rain. And now they await to see who they will be facing. It will either be the Bulls or the Sharks, but they will be playing at Croke Park. We will, of course, be live for that game as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Like I said, we are going to be live for that South Africa versus Bulls match that is coming just around the corner. So if you guys are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. 37 points to 19. Leinster just too strong throughout this matchup. Best weather in South Africa is Durban. All else is like Europe, says Fareed. And the weather back home is not great at the moment. I pray there are no injuries, says Heather. And Leicester Tigers 13 to the Sale Sharks 3 at half time. And I have a pretty, hearty oxtail. A time to perfection for halftime. I hope it's a promotion of the feeding frenzy by the Sharks on Loftus. So a couple big words in there. And I certainly did not say them well. I see you in a bit, Hamish. Says Chris. And hold on, let's see you at the next one. And when is the next URC game? The next URC game is kicking off in 45 minutes, but we are starting our live stream in about 20 minutes' time. So very close, and this live stream will transfer you straight over to the next one so that you are all ready to go for that next match. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, like I said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.